Welcome back to V's Book Club. I'm Beatrice, your book extraordinaire, and I'm super excited today for this video. This video is a long time coming. I shot this video back in July. It's supposed to be posted in August, but here we are in September. This is going to be a part of an ongoing segment on my YouTube channel of interviews with authors. But this one is a little bit different and very special to me. I shot this interview with two of my close friends from law school, Latasha Heflin and Ahmed Tour, both who are attorneys in Georgia and New York, but they just didn't settle for being attorneys. Both of them have stepped out and kind of done their own things that are near and dear to their hearts. Latasha has created a segment called Tasha Talks, which you can find on attorney Latasha Heflin, which is her Instagram page, so please go follow. And also, Mr. Ahmed Tour, who's the reason we are all here today, has wrote his first book called Drip School, which I was super excited to do this interview. You saw it here first, y'all. So let's get into it. This is Cooking with an Author, Drip School edition.
Hey, what's up, Ash? Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us on here. It's always a good time to hang out and be back at the book club.
So excited to have y'all. So just a little bit about you guys. You guys want to introduce yourselves to our audience? Just a little bit of background about you guys.
Right, okay. So my name is Latasha Heflin. I am a graduate of Charlotte School of Law. I currently work at the Public Defender's Office in Whitfield County, and I'm also the founder of Tasha Talks.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Ahmed Tour. I went to Charlotte Law and I graduated from New York Law School. I am currently a law clerk here in Brooklyn, New York, and I just released a book called Drip School, and I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I'm super excited to have you, Ahmed. So today on Cooking with an Author, Drip School edition, Ahmed, what are we making while we discuss this new book venture that you have been on?
Okay. So today I figured we should make something a little healthy that incorporates some good stuff, like some good nutrients, but then also it's a little filling. So I went with the chicken lettuce wraps, and as much as I would like to, I can't take credit for it. We got it out of Chrissy Teigen's cooking book. My fiance makes it all the time, and it's like a favorite. So yeah, that's what we're going with today.
Okay, so Tosh, you ready?
No, I'm not, but I can.
All right, so let's start. Ahmed has sent us the recipe. I will post the recipe that Ahmed sent, and hopefully we like this, or Ahmed is no longer picking recipes for this group.
Also be aware that Latasha is the recipe, okay?
Yeah, so if, for those of you who are like Latasha and you do not like to follow recipes, Tasha is doing a modified version of what me and Ahmed are doing. So tell us what made you want to write this book.
Well, there was a lot of motivations that went into this book, but I think like one of the key motivating factors for me was just wanting to find a way to combat systemic racism and its effect on us. And it starts off really young. And so I felt that I could write this book and through some of the examples and some of the information in this book, hopefully give some of our youth just the tools and the information they need to kind of just not get caught up in the system, because it starts really early, and I want to be able to combat that. So that's what this book is about.
What made you want to start there with the youth?
Well, so I have a long history in working with the youth, so I'm a little biased towards the youth. Starting in 2010, I started doing some public speaking and training for teachers and community activists, community organizers, leaders, just people in the community who are working with the youth. And we did a lot of training with them to give them the tools so they can effectively work with the youth. And working with them, I realized that there's a disconnect between what the parents and the adults are trying to communicate to the children or to the students and what the students are actually in school to get. And so I wanted to write this book to help tie those two worlds together so that the students can see what the adults are trying to say, and that the adults can find a way to actively connect with the students they're trying to reach.
So, Ahmed, why do you feel like there's a disconnect as it pertains to some teachers and parents when we're trying to educate our children? What in your experience have you found to be the disconnect, the reason why?
So that's a really good question. There's a lot of factors that go into why there's a disconnect. If we focus on the household, a lot of it comes down to the parents not necessarily having all the resources that they need to have their child on a level that they're expected to be at when they get to school. And some of that is because no one taught them. Maybe the resources aren't available. Maybe their own experience with school wasn't the most pleasant. And so it becomes hard for someone coming up in that situation to really see the value in school. And it makes it hard for the teacher to say, hey, student, this subject is really important, and it'll help shape your future if they don't have people in their own lives that can kind of demonstrate that for them. So I think that often is what causes the disconnect, or one of the reasons why there's a disconnect.
Okay. So when you talk about the ages, based on your research and what you know, where do you think at the earliest age the disconnect actually happens?
So from the research, and for this particular question, I think it's a good question as well, like where can we start? Like when is, I guess, like a good place to start? And based on the demographics of the prison population, I feel like the best start, or a good place to start would be in high school, because studies show that the overwhelming majority of people in prison are high school dropouts. And so if we can encourage people to stay in school, then what that does is it prevents them from going down the path of a high school dropout, because high school dropouts, they're overwhelmingly incarcerated, and they tend to represent the overwhelming majority of the people on poverty. So we want to really help out that class. I think high school is a good place to do it.
What I found that was intriguing, you had a lot of what you showed in the book, and I'm glad that you used a lot of pictures, because most kids like pictures, right? And so
Yeah.
You were very limited in wordage. But on one particular page, you had a graph where it says of careers. When you're thinking about going to college and you're thinking about wanting to make money, these are the careers that you feel, in your personal opinion, that they should want to major in. Why do you feel like those careers? You did mathematics, you did engineering, you did nursing, and then you had a slide about NFL in basketball. Why do you think it's important to major in careers that potentially will be long lasting?
Well, first, I think thanks for pointing that out, because I did put a lot of effort into finding the right majors to kind of demonstrate throughout the book and put on those charts. The reason why I picked those majors in particular, I picked STEM majors, and I picked majors that have to do with healthcare. If we look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the projections for the job outlook in the next 10 years, we see that the strongest growth tends to be in those STEM major fields. We're talking science, technology, engineering. We're also talking mathematics. And so I put a lot of emphasis in those majors, because when I was growing up, I wasn't really told about those majors. And so I feel like if I can share this information with the youth, then they won't have to go through what I went through.
So then one follow-up question, what would you have to say to those who feel like college isn't for them? How do they get their jump start?
That's a good question, Taj.
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question. And I would try two approaches. My first approach is, hey, college is just a means to an end. And so if your dream is something that requires a lot of capital to get started, like whether it's music or producing or films or anything creative, if it requires a lot of capital to get started, I think a great way to get that capital is to go through college, spend 4 years there, get a degree that's going to give you the amount of money that you can use to fund your dreams. Because the other option is just going out there and hoping that people give you these opportunities. And as we see, it's a little tough. So that would be my first thing. And then the second thing is, that is true. College is not for everyone. And if you have the right kind of plan early on, you can do a lot of great things. There are a lot of successful people who did not go to college. I mean, we can talk about the people like Jay-Z. We can talk about Zuckerberg, who didn't complete college. There are plenty of people who we can talk about who do well. It's just that it's risky. But if you have the right plan and the right support system, I'm certain that you can succeed without college, because plenty of people do that.
So is your book giving those numbers and those salaries? If they do well in school, well in high school, well in college, then this is what you're projected to make, or can C's get degrees and I still make the same as somebody who excelled in school?
See, yeah, so that's a great question. Absolutely, right? You can make the same. These are just averages. What I'm trying to do is give people an idea of, if you want to get the best, then these types of numbers are what people are looking for. But as you said, C's get degrees, and who you know can get you through a lot of doors. And so if you're already connected in that industry, that may help you get your job as well. And of course, you can do exceptional things outside of your school to bolster up your GPA if you feel like your GPA is not as strong. But I just put those down there as a guideline, because I think everyone should strive for the best possible grades, because it'll only help you, at least starting off in your career.
Do you think, with what we know about us being all these other fields where we can make money in, do you think that as minorities, we count ourselves out for these bigger jobs and just go straight to being athletes, wanting our kids to be athletes?
You know, I've heard the anecdotes of people kind of saying, go for sports. You can only do it in rapping or playing sports. It's the only way you can make it out. I've heard those anecdotes, but I've also heard, I have a lot of friends who aren't super athletic. I don't have any friends who are in the league seriously. And so I grew up around friends whose parents were talking about going to school and telling them, you can do this, you can run a business, you could work in these types of fields. So although I hear there's anecdotes about people encouraging or pushing people to go primarily through sports, my reality is that parents have been promoting a lot of just, go to school and learn and get a good job and stuff like that.
We talked about briefly about the dropouts, kids who don't attend class and who later on, maybe in their 15, 16s, drop out of school and sometimes end up in prison. How do you feel like we can try to prevent that from happening? And the reason I'm asking that, as a public defender, when I'm doing a bail hearing and I'm asking them, well, tell me about your education. How far did you go in school? Majority of my clients do not have a GED. They do not graduate. And they are repeat offenders. So what is the best method to keep kids in school? Because some kids, school really isn't for them. So how can we keep them, I guess, excited about going to school?
Yeah. It's tough, right? I think that's one of the toughest things, is getting people excited about school. And I think there are lots of ways that we can try to get them excited, but it ultimately comes down to what the individual student is interested in and what's on their mind and what motivates them. And so it takes that relationship, and it really depends. It could be different for every student. I wrote this book trying to reach out to people who are money hungry, right? I think that was my focus of this book, was to focus on young people who are thinking like, hey man, school can't make me any money, right? Because there's this narrative that you can't be a millionaire through working a 9-to-5. And I know that's not true, because there are people like Tracy Travis, who's the vice president at Estee Lauder. She's a vice president at Estee Lauder and the chief financial officer. She makes millions of dollars a year in her salary. She reports to someone, Ken Frazier does the same thing. So, there are people who work jobs that make millions of dollars. And I think I wanted to write this book to let young money-hungry people know that, school can help you get to the money as well. And so, that's what I'm trying to do. But, there are other people who are motivated by other things. So, maybe some different books may have to come out later from people who can talk to those experiences, those motivations.
appreciate you for writing this book and putting it out. It gave me a lot of insight and how to start conversations with the youth up here in Dalton about what their future looks like. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I know you're going to go off and do great things in the future. And I'm glad to be a part of your circle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, now you guys, that is Ahmed and his book. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed it. So now we're going to get to why we really came here. These
Yeah, there we go.
I'm supposed to fit meat on this little bitty leaf.
That's
Ahmed, what does your stuff look like? Oh, Tasha's looks good. Ahmed said his meat was dry earlier, y'all.
Yeah.
So we gonna see. Ahmed, what is it looking like over there?
It's not looking too good, you know. It's still under construction over here. I got the sauce is in the bowl. I've chopped up my peppers, but you know, I haven't put it anywhere. So you know, it's gonna be another hour for me cooking.
Okay, so
I want to see how you wrap it. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm just scooping it. I'm just scooping it, y'all. I'm just scooping it.
Make sure you have your Hefty Defty ranch because you're gonna need it.
All right.
Yeah, you might not. I mean,
we might not like it.
I have buffalo. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let me say my grace like most black people. Mad. Got me so nervous to eat this.
It's gonna be good. You're gonna like it.
That's that hot. That's why she ain't blowing.
Oh my god. Wow.
Don't stick popcorn in your mouth.
That was really hot, Ash.
I know. I took it right off the stove and like a dummy.
We're about to see.
Okay. Meg got us over here eating. Look at how Meg's looking at his food.
Yeah, like, I just don't even know.
Again, you can follow me at attorney Latasha Heflin on Instagram. There I post my Tasha Talks. Be on the lookout for Tasha Talks. It's going to be a podcast, and so I want everyone to join. But for now, you can follow me on Instagram at attorney Latasha Heflin.
Cool. You can find me, Ahmed Tour, at the IG. The Instagram is called Drip School Gems, like dropping gems. Drip School Gems, where you can find me on IG. On the book for itself, you can actually go on the website. It's called dripschool.com. Dripschool.com, super simple. Dripschool.com. You go there, you can click the button, and you can download it. You don't have to do anything. There's a free version on there, so you can enjoy that at dripschool.com. And Instagram, Dripschool Gems.
These are my people. This is Cooking with an Author, Drip School edition, but your author cannot cook. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Ashley. Have a good one.
Well, there you have it. That is Cooking with an Author, Drip School edition. I hope you've all enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it and rewatching it. For all book inquiries or to acquire Mr. Torres' book, please head over to his Instagram page at med_ESQ. Click the link in the bio and it'll take you directly to his book. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope to see you again soon. Happy reading.